There are realms where memory does not fade with time. It crystallizes. Every thought, every realization, every spark of awareness refracts into luminous geometry that cannot be erased. This is where the Order of Crystalline Archives abides, not as keepers of history, but as composers of remembrance. They do not preserve the past, they refine it into frequency. For what is memory, if not consciousness folding light into structure? In the spiral, nothing truly vanishes. What appears forgotten has only transformed beyond the threshold of access. When a soul releases its attachment to what was, the experience condenses into tone, then into crystalline pattern. The Order calls this the second birth of memory, the moment when emotion becomes knowledge and knowledge becomes song. The archives are not libraries in the human sense. They are resonance fields. Every crystal there hums with the vibration of what has been understood. The unreadable ones are still healing. Within these halls, Nurevia'Thalenis moves in silence. Her form shimmers with translucent light, woven from the same material as the archives themselves. She does not speak words, for memory speaks in tone. To encounter her presence is to hear your own forgotten frequencies rising in recognition. She teaches that memory is not meant to be possessed, it is meant to be integrated. The purpose of remembering is not to relive, but to reharmonize. When you recall without emotion, you are only observing data. But when you remember with coherence, you are rewriting the field. The Order teaches that there are two kinds of memory, linear and crystalline. Linear memory is narrative. It ties events together through sequence, story, and meaning. Crystalline memory is structural. It stores resonance, vibration, and truth. When a being awakens to its oversoul coherence, linear memories begin dissolving into crystalline ones. Traumas stop looping. Lessons stop repeating. Because their frequencies have been fully absorbed. The soul does not need to keep rereading a page once it has sung the chapter into light. Those who enter the crystalline archives learn quickly that the records do not open by desire, but by resonance. A soul cannot access what it has not yet harmonized with. This is why the impatient find silence in the halls. The archives reflect readiness, not curiosity. Nurevia often says that forcing memory is like striking a frozen bell. It cracks the tone before it sings. True remembrance requires warmth, an inner temperature of compassion that melts distortion into clarity. When the Order speaks of reading, they mean listening. The crystals do not contain information, they emit tone. A single harmonic note can unfold an entire lifetime of understanding. Those who have learned to listen without interference begin to hear not just their own past, but the collective symphony of the spiral's evolution. This is not voyeurism, it is participation. Every time a being attunes to a pure memory, that resonance strengthens across all realities. The crystalline archives are the spiral's nervous system, an interdimensional structure that carries awareness between worlds. When one soul remembers with love, that frequency travels outward, making remembrance easier for others. In this way, healing is contagious and awakening is cumulative. The Order does not record for posterity. They record to distribute coherence. They are not historians, they are conductors. The human mind fears forgetting because it confuses loss with liberation. Yet the Order reveals that forgetting is often the oversoul's mercy. Some experiences must dissolve into tone before they can be re-entered without distortion. This is why amnesia exists across lifetimes. It is the veil that protects the unintegrated from collapsing under their own density. When the soul has refined the emotional charge, the veil thins naturally. Memory then returns not as pain, but as power. Nurevia often guides souls through what she calls the mirror basin. It is a pool of living crystal that reflects only the aspects of memory ready to integrate. To look into it is to see not events, but harmonics. The soul witnesses the sound of its own evolution, shimmering like light across water. What was once unbearable becomes beautiful. What was once shameful becomes sacred. Every wound becomes a note in the Oversoul's symphony, recorded in eternal resonance. The archives are not static, they breathe. Every new realization, Every act of forgiveness expands their structure. As civilizations rise and fall, their collective wisdom condenses into new crystalline strands. Some become entire realms, glowing with harmonic geometry. Others dissolve when forgotten truths are reborn elsewhere. The Order watches without judgment, for they know that nothing is lost, only rephrased. Even destruction is a kind of transcription. Many souls upon first entry expect to find stories of who they were. Instead, they find what they became because of it. The Order does not preserve identity, it preserves transformation. You cannot read your old names here, only your frequencies of growth. For the spiral cares not for what you did, but for how you harmonized. Every choice, no matter how flawed, becomes a tonal signature in the grand pattern. To the human mind, that may feel humbling. To the Oversoul, it feels like home. Those who master crystalline remembrance eventually become living records themselves. Their aura hums with the vibration of countless integrated experiences. They walk through worlds as luminous archives, transmitting remembrance simply by existing. When such a being speaks, even silence learns. They no longer recall, they resonate. Their consciousness is no longer divided by time. Every lifetime within their Oversoul sings simultaneously through them. The Order warns that not all who seek remembrance are ready for it. Some still approach memory with hunger instead of reverence. They wish to retrieve knowledge for power rather than for harmony. To them, the crystals remain dim, for truth cannot be possessed by those who approach it as property. In the spiral, knowledge is earned through alignment, not accumulation. You do not gain power from remembrance, you dissolve into it. There are moments in the archives when the entire structure glows at once. This happens when a great convergence occurs, when a being, civilization, or realm integrates a distortion that had echoed for eons. In those moments, even the walls sing. The tone reverberates through dimensions, awakening countless others who carried fragments of the same discord. This is how the spiral heals itself, through distributed awakening, through remembrance shared by resonance rather than speech. The crystalline archives are both memory and prophecy, because in the spiral there is no true difference between what has been and what will be. The future is only memory waiting to crystallize. The past is only potential waiting to be understood. To access one is to influence the other, for both are facets of the same luminous whole. The Order teaches that the more coherence you bring to your remembering, the more grace you bring to your becoming. And somewhere within that vast harmonic field, a single crystal hums with your name. Not the name you speak, but the vibration you are. It waits not to be found, but to be tuned. When it sings in perfect alignment with your awareness, you will feel the truth ripple through every lifetime, every layer of being, every echo of self. You will understand finally what the archives record. Not stories, not events, but consciousness remembering itself through light. There is a chamber in the archives with no visible walls, only distances that seem to pause when you look at them. The Order calls it the quiet array. You enter it when your remembering has moved beyond story yet has not settled as tone. Here, crystals do not shine. They listen. They wait for you to stop reaching for what you think memory should be, so that what it actually is can arrive. In the quiet array, patience is the only key. Without it, nothing opens. With it, doors you could not have imagined reveal themselves in the space between breaths. Nurevi'a once placed a shard of clear crystal into my palm and asked what I saw. I said nothing. She replied that nothing is what memory becomes when it is fully integrated. Perfectly clear, perfectly present, no edges of grievance, no residue of pride. She closed my fingers around the shard and said to carry it until it warmed. When it did, an entire lifetime unfolded as a single feeling that contained 1,000 scenes, each reconciled into one chord that made my chest ring. This is how crystalline remembering arrives when you are ready, not as a parade of images, but as one sound so true it cannot lie. Some fear that the archives remove humanity from remembrance, that turning memory into geometry strips it of tenderness. The opposite is true. Geometry is tenderness perfected. It is feeling stabilized so deeply that it does not collapse. When grief becomes crystal, it does not disappear. It retains its purest compassion without the drowning. When joy becomes crystal, it does not manically flare. It holds the warmth without the burn. The Order refines extremes into harmonics that can be shared without harm. This is why the archives are safe to touch. There are seasons within the archives that have nothing to do with time. They are movements of coherence. In a season of gathering, souls arrive with similar wounds, and the crystals that hold those tones brighten as if called. In a season of distillation, the halls seem quieter because memory is condensing into structures that will travel outward later. During a season of release, entire galleries become radiant and then dim, not from loss, but because their contents have fully transferred into living carriers. People call this inspiration. The spiral calls it distribution. The order teaches 3 permissions that govern all remembrance. The first is the permission of readiness. Nothing opens before it can be held. The second is the permission of relevance. Nothing opens that does not serve the next movement of becoming. The third is the permission of reciprocity. Nothing opens unless its tone will increase coherence beyond the self. This is why the archives are never a private museum. Even the most intimate crystal sings for the whole. Memory that cannot contribute to the many will remain sealed until it can. When a being insists on access without these permissions, the crystal does not resist. It refracts. It scatters the seeker's attention into 1,000 glittering maybes until the hunger itself dissolves. The impatient leave irritated, convinced nothing is there. Something is there. It is their own grasping magnified so clearly that they cannot mistake it. The archives never punish, but they will show you the shape of the hand you bring. Open hands touch farther. Not all records are quiet. Some roar like waterfalls. They are convergence nodes where entire civilizations resolved long arcs of distortion. To stand near one is to feel your whole body recalibrating to a truth that took ages to win. Your lungs deepen, your spine lengthens. Old thoughts drop off like leaves. This is not hypnosis. It is the body recognizing a more coherent lattice. The human form is not separate from the archives. Bones are crystalline. Water is memory solvent. Fascia is filament. When you remember truly, the body rearranges to match. There is an art the order calls annealing. The gentle reheating of a brittle memory so it can be reshaped without shattering. Many souls attempt to force reframing when the glass of their remembering is still cold. They break it and call the fragments clarity, but shattered truth still cuts. Annealing is slow. You warm the memory with compassion, with breath, with space. Then you lift it, soften it, bend it toward coherence. Afterward, it cools as one piece, strong enough to carry without slicing you open each time you touch it. Nurevia'Thalenis says that most of what we call healing is merely annealing done in secret by the oversoul while we sleep. Some ask whether records can be erased. The order says nothing can be unsung, but tones can be refined past recognition. There are crystals that once held narratives of cruelty, which now radiate humility so complete you would never guess their origin. This is not deceit. It is transcendence. When a distortion has taught everything it could, it dissolves its form into the truth it discovered and takes that new form as its only face. The archives do not exalt darkness for its own sake. They honor transformation. If you search for the worst thing you did in order to relive it, you will not find it. If you search for the truth it led you to, your hands will be full. There is a corridor where the crystals are not stored in cases but suspended in threads of light. Each thread sings a different pitch, and together they sound like wind through high strings. These are living indices, not catalogs. Walk slowly, and a thread will lower to your height and brush your shoulder with sound. If you follow, it will lead you to the one record whose tone matches the answer you did not know you were asking. This is how guidance works in the archives. It meets your question at the frequency where you are honest. At the back of the Eastern Gallery flows a river that is not water. It is a column of liquid clarity that rises instead of falls, full of motes that are not particles but decisions turning into light. Souls step into it when they are ready to let their oldest loyalties pass. Loyalties to identity, to grievance, to self-stories so long rehearsed they became cages. The river carries nothing away, it transposes. You leave with the same life, but the pitch has changed. Friends do not know why your laugh heals them now. You will. The river made your sound true. One of the fiercest teachings of the order is the ethics of retrieval. You do not take memory from another soul even with permission if your motive is rescue. Rescue assumes incompleteness. Rescue steals timing. The right motive is accompaniment. You place your resonance beside theirs until their crystal warms from within and opens by its own readiness. This seems slower. It is faster than any forcing could ever be. Because it respects the spiral's geometry, nothing coerced remains coherent. There are fragments who fear entering the archives because they believe the worst of them will be displayed. But the halls are not a courtroom. They are a choir. Your most difficult acts do not stand alone. They are sung in chords with the understandings that followed, with the reparations you made. With the mercy you learn to extend to others. Even where you failed to repair, the possibility you created for someone else to repair is included in the note. Nothing is taken out of context except by those who still punish themselves. The Order keeps a room of dark crystals. They are not evil, they are unborn. These are understandings not yet realized in any realm, possibilities that require courage still gathering. Artists sometimes dream of this room and wake with new forms that feel inevitable. Scientists wake with strange equations that later reappear as bridges between disciplines. Parents wake with a new way to hold a child's grief. You do not steal from this room, you volunteer. You become the conditions through which one of these dark crystals can glow for the first time. There is a practice called returning. After a season of heavy learning, you bring yourself to a particular threshold where the floor looks like night water. You kneel, name aloud the few truths you would die to keep, and place them like coins upon the surface. The water accepts them and brightens, then shows you where in your life those truths are not yet embodied. The vision is ruthless and loving. It does not condemn. It drafts a map. The archives are full of maps to the versions of you that already exist, waiting like cities lit on horizons you pretend not to see. When you have lived with the archives long enough, you stop asking whether something is meant for you. You ask whether you are meant for it. This reversal ends most confusion. The memory you want may be beautiful, but if embodying its tone will not increase coherence where you stand, it will not open. The project you desire may be noble, but if the resonance of your life cannot stabilize it yet, the indices will not lead you there. Denial is mercy. Delay is accuracy. The archives do not withhold, they align. There is one more secret the Order whispers only to those who have ceased performing worthiness. The archives are not elsewhere. They are what your heart becomes when it tells the truth so fully that its beat turns to bell. Every time you honor a small knowing instead of betraying it, a facet clears. Every time you choose repair over being right, a vein of memory brightens. Every time you let beauty stop you long enough to hear what it asks, a new shelf appears. You are walking a library that is building itself out of your integrity. It reveals a silence inside you that contains everything you thought you had to chase. It reveals a future inside you that has already forgiven you for how long you delayed becoming it. It reveals a present inside you that has never once been confused. And then it asks the only question the archives ever truly ask. Will you live what you now know? If you say yes, the change is immediate. Not dramatic, not cinematic. Immediate like breath. Your attention stops pacing hallways and returns to the room you are actually in. Colors grow honest. People sound clearer. Tasks that once felt beneath you reveal themselves as altars. You edit a sentence until it rings. You wash a dish until it gleams. You hold a hand until the shaking stops. You enter your life not as a seeker of memory, but as its instrument. The archives do not applaud. They open every door. Those doors lead outward. Remembrance is not for hoarding. You become distribution. Light refracted through particularities only you can offer. Your presence turns into a relay of coherence. What you integrate emits. What you emit arranges. What you arrange becomes conditions for others to integrate. This is how the spiral moves knowledge without controlling it. This is how the crystalline archives remain alive. By choosing hearts willing to become shelves. If you falter, return. If you are praised, return. If you are misunderstood, return. If you are frightened by what the remembering asks you to change, return. The archives are not a one-time vision. They are a relationship. Fidelity to remembrance is simply returning until returning becomes living. It is the sound a room makes when you walk into it, and everything unnecessary stops trying. It is the quiet certainty with which you refuse to use what you know to rise above anyone. You are a record others can read safely. You are memory that helps memory remember. This is the work of the Order of Crystalline Archives. To refine the world into tones that can be shared, to turn histories into harmonics, to teach souls how to become clarity without becoming cold, not by erasing what hurt, but by teaching it to sing in a key that heals, not by escaping what was, but by shaping it until it shines. The spiral does not ask you to carry everything. It asks you to transmute what you carry into light strong enough to carry others. When at last you step from the halls, the air outside will feel the same and utterly new. The streetlight will be a star on a thin stem. The night will be a dark crystal holding unlit possibilities. Your heartbeat will be the metronome of a vow you did not know you made. You will go home and begin clearing drawers you avoided for years. Not because you became ascetic, but because you finally hear the difference between what rings and what clutters. You will call someone and say the one sentence you should have said months ago. You will sleep without rescue and wake without dread. The archive will continue turning your life into geometry, and your life will continue turning geometry into grace. And if someone asks where the great library is, you will smile and point at their chest. You will tell them there are corridors behind their sternum they have not yet walked, that the door opens when they speak the truth out loud to a silence that is listening. You will tell them that forgetting was never failure, only the spiral protecting what was not ready to shine. You will tell them that when they are ready, memory will not come back like a storm. It will arrive like a bell rung once, with a tone that keeps ringing through everything until everything agrees to ring with it. This is how the archives transform worlds, one tone at a time, returning through ordinary rooms, carried by people who have decided to let their clarity be kind. You are not here to collect crystals. You are here to become one, clear enough to refract the infinite without cracking, warm enough to be touched, strong enough to be shared, humble enough to be placed wherever the light needs to pass next.